when you go offline. Wanna get by, wanna log on, wanna play those tricks. Cause you ain't got no life and you ain't got no prospects. Let me guess, you know it all. Your taste excellent. Face that, put your lips all on my testament. Take that, see in the real world we don't play that kid. We keep our mouth shut and stay up out of grown folks' business. And what blows me is everybody a critic, everybody a cynic, see everybody a addict. You can miss me with that, sir. My people come to your psyche. I won't ever reply to haters, but watch what you typing. I could be your greatest love of all and hashtag that. And I'm twice the pimpin' when I step back from my Mac. See, y'all get that digital courage and just go crazy on her. But that's okay. Pull up. Like angels say, see me in real life. You say you feeling me, you say you mad at me. You type your life away, hey, what a tragedy. But can you make it right when you go offline? Can you make it right when you go offline? They watching, everybody watching, everybody wild, everybody got options. So, can you make it right when you go offline? Can you make it right when you go offline?
Can you make it right when you always online? How can you make it right when you be talking all the time?
You always talking.
Fingers move so fast when you be mad. Think it's all about lacking. Hit that space bar, ain't no dragging. Wanna be the first to unleash the dragon. Rolling up while you be typing slick. That's how much I give a damn. I don't sit online talking to myself on my Instagram. Speaking tongues, keys, and hugs. Frequent animosity. Possibility of your progression and atrocity. All your tweets are dripping, grit and tricks, but you behind the screen can actually extract a bit of passion that you really need. Silly me, I'm tripping. Boy, I got you fishing, typing everything in caps and acting like you on a mission. I'm sitting here and getting my diction, sipping on this chamomile and hitting my prescription. Watching people battle back and forth upon my timeline like Olympians. My fingers like buckshots to these villains. They children.
You say you feeling me, you say you mad at me. You type your life away, hey, what a tragedy. But can you make it right when you go offline? Can you make it right when you go offline? They watching, everybody wild, everybody got options, stop it. Can you make it right when you go offline? Can you make it right when you go offline?
Rock with me, all my girls with me. Rock with me, all my girls with me. Rock with me, all my girls with me. All my girls want to rock with me, I'm a savage. All my girls want to see if they want it, they can have it. I ain't leaving till I get the baggy. Rock with me, all my girls with me. All my girls want to rock with me, I'm a savage. All my girls want to see if they want it, they can have it. I ain't leaving till I get the baggy. Rock with me, all my girls with me. Rock with me, all my girls with me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer for the Americas region. We're in week 3. We just finished up game number 3 and are going to be kind of catching you guys up on all the action before we get into the later half, where we'll be talking and playing on Kings Canyon. I'm Lawler. Alongside me is Match. I'm calling all the action. And so far, so good. Some pretty exciting matches all around, haven't we had? And a little bit of anime talk and a little bit of delays and some other crazy stuff, but it's been good, right? Like, we're chilling, we're hanging.
Just a little bit of overtalk coming inside of here, but you know, that's what chat loves. They love to hear us talk. They're not here for the games. They're here to hear us discuss things like the leaderboard and anime. Thinking of the leaderboard, you can see coming back over here. Inside that last round, it's going to be Sentinels walking away with 44 points. Back behind them, Aim Assist with 32. NRG popping off with 24. Back behind them, TSM yet again getting 24. And Team Liquid walking away with 20 points.
Yeah, good to see from Energy. Obviously, we've been trying to see if they're going to climb and kind of get into that rhythm. And at this point, even though they don't get the placements, they do get the kills. So well done by them to jump into that third spot and kind of tie it up with TSM. But again, Sentinels, early rotation there in the thermal station. and boy, were they rewarded heavily. So well done by them as we jump over now to the actual leaderboard with all these points being broken down for the day. And TSM up at top, Rogan second, Sentinels in third, and Energy in fourth. So to me, that looks like a little bit more than what I'm used to.
Yeah, seeing a little bit more of a climb back up here, specifically coming out from NRG. No surprises, though. Who would have thought? We're in a North American event, and it's TSM up at the top of the daily leaderboard. I am startled, Lawler.
Glad to know that you are as well. As we jump over to the Bravo leaderboard, though, you can see the teams that have dropped down that are actually trying to make a battle back. Capital, Solifide, 303. All three teams were in the Alpha Division last week and are trying to battle and are at the top. So even though these guys have dropped down and not getting the double points, you can see that they're putting in the effort to go out and get kills in hopes of coming back and not being that too far off. So 303 playing well. I mentioned at the beginning they had a very good tournament. I think it was just yesterday or the day before that they ended up winning over some of the other teams. So glad to see that they're grinding and trying to get back on the right track.
Look who's on that cusp spot, though. It's one of your favorites, Anime Girls,
favorite.
Trying to climb their way back up there. 3 more points, and they can make your life so happy inside that. Good to see 303 manage to stack up a lot of points inside the lobby today. Now the question comes into play as we're starting to look back over towards Kings Canyon. Looks like the game is already set and ready to go. Let's just get right up into the action as we're going to be following Sentinels, our last round victor.
All I'm saying is that when Onset was with me, he really took the reins, debated on how to say the name, and then he full committed to saying their full name every time. So if anybody's really upset, it's actually Onset that they're not involved. So we're going to just pass the buck over to him, and maybe he'll be enticed to do Americas again. Who knows? Who knows? He's a busy boy.
I guess it is wrong. I'm not really hitting the U and girls properly. So Sentinels coming in.
You want to try again as a fellow anime fan? You want to show them how it's done?
Anime Girls. Woo! Is it better?
I mean, close enough. Ooh, gold power. Maybe if you make that ooh noise, you get rewarded with good gear.
Oh, please, God, don't let that be a thing. Otherwise, everybody that I play with Apex with is going to absolutely hate me.
Can you imagine comms in game? Just everybody opening doors and just yelling that in hopes.
Sounds like how complex these comms go, all things considered. Whenever you watch those guys stream together, it is just a chain of
Hey, man, they have a good time, man. They have a good time. I think that's really important, though. We don't talk about the chemistry, I think, enough in a lot of esports about how important it truly is. Like, I mean, a lot of casters do talk about, like, yeah, momentum and the ability for these guys. A lot of kind of just trigger words, but chemistry is actually a really big deal. The ability for these guys to get along inside and outside the game, I mean, it makes practice a lot easier when they have really rough performances. It allows them to get over it a lot more, and it helps with the whole concept of, like, a team like TSM that has to engage and be on the same track of mind. When you're cracking the same jokes and kind of on that same wavelength, it does translate into game as well. So chemistry, a big one here, and glad to see that the guys on Complexity are some of the kings at it.
I like it. Bring us in some style points there. Thank you so much, Rogue. Making the jump through the flaming hoop. But yeah, I 100% agree. We see a lot of players that tend to be a little bit more comedic, I guess is a good way to say it, and then end up on super serious teams, and that doesn't always work out for them. Finding people that you really just enjoy playing the game with can give you a lot more success than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, I've got a good group of buddies that I've known for years, and I'm lucky that they're good, so I don't have to worry about it too much because I'm a pretty competitive person altogether. So even though half the game we've spent throwing each other under the bus or trying to put each other in bad situations or throwing thermites on each other, we still get wins every once in a while. So it's a good mix.
Sometimes it's just fun to go out and troll your teammates. Good shots coming out from NRG, feeling the momentum after that last round. A couple of long-range taps. Not quite choosing to go full-on aggressive with it, just kind of content with inflicting the damage. Fine with the attrition and making people burn through a little bit of meds. As you can see, Rocker, touch low, going to go ahead and have to regen himself back up. So repositioning back over towards Forest Station.
Not a whole lot going on. Obviously, Energy was a team that we've been keeping our eyes on, seeing if they can bounce back as we jump over to Unknown. Shots coming out, Blur getting tagged up pretty heavily from the top side. He's going to have to hide in this corner and see if he can get out, but luckily for him, he's got a teammate in a portal, but on the other side, just waiting happily is Mercy, who's just going to rain down a bunch of bullets. Hopefully pick up some more. Going to drop down a bubble and gets one up top. Can he get the other? Ends up cleaning it up with the Eva, and that double tap coming in handy.
New brainers popping off, becoming the new kill leaders. Got to be careful. A little bit of third party coming into effect when you get that aggressive. That's prone to happen sometimes. Got to be cautious as already has one member down and flushed. Tricky is down at the time. It's like maybe you're going to have to go ahead and avoid going after the banner. Instead, going back for a safer reposition point, and you just got to get those meds back up. Mercy only going to have to figure out how he wanted to approach this, as it's going to be aim assist dancing around the outside.
Coming over to aim assist, kind of just rotating in through Hydro Dam. Loving the revamp of how these things have been playing out, but I guess kind of a little bit of a tangent on the offside. How would you feel if there was a moment where they had an event where if you were the kill leader, you were shown full time on the map, like everybody knew where you were?
Oh,
kind of like a Juggernaut mode where like everybody chases after you, like if you're the kill leader. But a shot breaks out here from TSM.
big plays coming out. TSM getting caught up in a very quick fight here. Capitalize off very quickly as NRG is going to be biting off a lot of that. 3 members already down and out, pushing us down to 17 squads remaining. I don't know. I guess it would depend on who the kill leader is. If you end up with a team like TSM becoming the kill leader, it almost throws up a flag of saying, please God, don't go here anymore.
But at the same time, like if TSM's going, like, okay, if TSM's playing a pub lobby, right? They're not worried about who they come up against. They're just going to go W key at everybody. So it may give some of that like avoidance capabilities to some of the other teams at the same time. Like it's kind of like a herding cattle kind of thing. But I'm interested to see on like how it would play out. I think it'd be kind of a cool concept. Maybe. I don't know.
It has
I'm down to test it.
For it.
I'm down to test it.
Always down to try something new, especially whenever we're looking at battle royales and how you can see impacts really affect everything as we make our way forward.
Right.
A lot of our teams are sitting at 49 people alive, and slow and steady, Gibraltar makes his way
Also, that
back
skin.
over towards this direction.
That skin is so good.
It really is. It makes me so
What a
happy every
kit.
time I see it.
Can I be crust? Can I get that kit sometime?
Yeah, I mean,
they're both gold. Jesus.
but lacking on armor, so finding
Who
guns
cares?
galore.
Full glass cannon, man. Full glass. Oh yeah, they give him the Evo. Perfect.
Why not? Why not?
One
Just go
shot
ahead and
the
stack
Kraber's gonna level that to 1.5. Why not, man?
Mercy only does manage to make it back over and pick up the banner of teammates. You can see ISMP going ahead and starting to set up their defenses now. With the shifts that we've been seeing, it feels like RNG is a secondary enemy to everybody inside these lobbies today, as they're having to very quickly capitalize, move back over towards safe zone, and that's leading to a lot of early action. As you can see, squads getting dropped off on their approaches, but TSM still feeling pretty comfortable based off of their location right now, and no inherent rushes. Superior's got themselves a vision of where the next circle is going to be at, as well as a pretty decent spot, moving back over towards center, praying the fact that they're not going to have to move for the next ones.
Yeah, it's pretty common for TSM, though. Obviously, a team that rotates relatively early. On the other side, though, Rogue does find themselves in a really tough situation. As Snipedown's already on the ground, he got dropped at a sliver of health, and Sweet just trying to escape. So Sentinel's on the hunt. Looks like they are the team that ended up getting that Kraber and applying some of that damage. So trying to remove a team that is at the top of the leaderboards alongside them as shots coming down from Push. Talked about his involvement is something I wanted to see have a huge role here today. As Sweet on the back end, it dropped, does get a shield battery off, but very low on the health, needs to escape and get away from his, as they are still only 17 squads. A whole lot of people to get through. Going to be really rough on the placement.
Yes, give me the execution. I love it. I always like how the crate just pops out afterwards. Big dramatic kill, and all of a sudden it's like, whoop.
I mean, that's how it should be, right?
I don't know.
This is totally off topic too, but like, so I come from Rocket League, right? We have like these really high intense moments and like crazy goals and all this kind of stuff, like 0-second overtime and whatever. We have this goal explosion where it just makes a little puff of smoke. It just goes, poof, and that's it. It's the greatest troll thing ever for a really big moment, and then just puff of smoke. That's pretty much what that feels like. Like,
I just get to imagine of like Job throwing out the glitter. You know that meme? It's just like,
yeah. It's pretty much that.
delusions.
It's pretty much that, man. It's pretty much that. But it's so trolly, and I love it. I love the cynical side of it. I really do. I think they've banned it actually from like world events because they don't want like big They don't want big like highlight moments and just like, puh, and it's like, oh well. I mean, it makes sense. I get it. But I do love it.
Still kind of funny. You never know. Maybe add a little bit of streamers there and just step it up. Looks like not a lot of our edge teams in any form of rush to make it back over towards the next safe zone, as it is going to pop up. You can tell which teams have been gathering information with Pathfinders and which teams have not, as now we're going to see a lot of rotation, specifically going back over there towards the east. I'm sorry, back over towards the west, as it's going to be Rogue Drop. Does manage to run back over, pick up a little bit out of this, but got to be very careful, as he's going to have Sweet to work with if he does want to go for the res back over towards the beacon, but he's going to have a difficult trek ahead of him, as he's going to have to cross the entirety of the circle to get to a safe spot.
Yeah, drops in a really difficult spot, but he did a good job. He was able to escape there and get that med kit off, so sitting pretty healthy, but needs to be careful. Sentinels has been trying to find out where he is, and it's someone that they have to rotate through, so unfortunate here for Dropped, as he's trying to get the banner of his other teammate and probably trying to go for the revive. And as the team rotates out, he immediately makes his move, so well done here by Rogue, trying to stall here, but at the same time, Sentinels, if they wanted to, could actually bait this. They could just wrap right back, but going to be checking all the different angles, seeing if they can find him out here. As you can see,
I like this. You can see there's
checking
two
the revive
directed
spots.
strategies.
Yeah.
You play back over along the edge, make sure to clear out anything, see if maybe you can spot anybody that's hiding, pick up those kill points, or you opt into safety. Go back over towards the circle, try to get back over towards center. You can see Sentinel's recipe for success is to go out, play edge whenever they're caught there, and see if maybe they can hunt down anybody else that's kind of playing aloft on this point. Because a lot of times, it's your more weakened squads that end up stuck, clinging to the side of the ring.
Well, it looks like they're going to be able to bring back Sweet. Wasn't able to get to snipe down in time. And luckily for them, this revive is on the complete opposite side of everybody else. So shouldn't have to run into too much, but people are going to know that there's someone rotating in from this side of the circles. They've got 45 seconds to try to loot up and get back in. As for the other team Sentinels, they are rotating into somebody that was just actually in the zone from Hydro Dam. So could be finding some of those pickups here as we jump in with TLP, having a pretty good day today. Very aggressive day as well, which I've been absolutely happy about, in the sense that they have had pretty much no hesitation. When they see a fight, they go for it and they commit.
There's something to be said for just executing off the call. If you're like, hey, let's go kill these people, and everybody is on the same wavelength and just charges in, a lot of times you can see that if you just all execute on the play together, even if it's a bad play, it can pay off for you. But every single time we've seen them, they just manage to make it work over and over. And sometimes it almost feels like over-aggression, but it always works out for them. And that comes down to gunplay and teamwork. Gotta be amazing communication back over on that roster.
I gotta admit, we were being a little bit biased. They had a really good game in game one where they took first, but 2 14-place finishes in round 2 and 3. It's just that recency bias. You know, we like to see them do the thing once and then it kind of sticks with us. But they've had a couple pretty tough rotations in the past couple of games. So
it's not all about stats. Sometimes it's what your heart says to you. And in this case, my heart says that I like the way that they play. Ziploc bags, looking back over, hitting a nice little tap off to the side of it, as you can see. And have themselves a position. The ring's going to be closing in just another couple of seconds, revealing where we're going to be taking our ways off. And if any of the earlier rounds have been any indicator, I feel there's a hard shift in our future.
Yeah, sounds about right, but Ziploc does have pretty good hard cover here and set up a little bit more, so they shouldn't have to deal with it too poorly, as it's going to look like it's going to shift to the top away from Sentinels, who have had to trek quite a bit of a way, as they do spot out somebody on the outside here. This actually might be Rogue. Shots coming down here as they do end up finding him. I talked about that team that's going to be rotating in from the southeast, and Sentinels comes on back. So Sweet needs to be careful. No armor and half health. A couple shots and then you get dropped. As for dropped, it's even rougher being in the backside, and that Kraber is an option. Just kind of following the tracing of the Wraith and just waiting for him to come out the other side. And shot comes down, but return fire on Sen. He ends up leveling up that Evo. I think it actually startled him a little bit.
Sometimes it kind of catches you off guard there, but Sentinels now making great use of their vision, raining down a lot of harassment on all the teams trying to rotate up and ahead of them. They just have to be careful not to get caught up in too long of a fight, and that's why you can see. Take a couple of shots, move forward. Take another couple of shots, move forward. If you can pick up some kills here, great, but you don't want to end up stuck on the outside of this, having to fight your way back in with all of these stalls that can happen in a prolonged fight. Shot does go out. It goes a little bit awry, but by God, it's still just Sentinels trying to push up and forward, trying to find some type of opening to work with.
Yeah, the other scary thing about that, too, is everybody now knows that there's a Kraber in play, so all you got to do is land one of those shots. And everybody else, as soon as they hear that noise as well, is a little bit more passive about peeking these windows. So, again, trying to bob and weave back and forth in front of that window. Needs to be careful. Taking the hard cover as TLP going to move in on this one as well. 3 teams all in the same position. And another team engaged and involved here. Ended up popping it, and they don't have anything to do with it. So immediately, Wraith drops Pearl Mechs, but good damage being put on. Sentinels, who look like they're in a pretty strong situation, have not moved in a little bit too far. And TFP both find themselves in a really rough situation. As a drop over the corner, Anders can clutch it up. He gets massive to the face of Cross. But then the return fire from Sen, need to be careful. So many teams in this area, they just need to back out. He's going to place this rift down, and hopefully his teammates that are down will come with.
It is a party that now very quickly nobody wants to be a part of. Chase does come back behind that one. Good plays coming out. NRG making a quick shift back over along the same path. They heard a lot of fighting back over here. Going to come up right after it all happens, but does spot out one immediately upon landing. Going for the spray back over towards it. NRG looking like they're wanting to play this one aggressive, trying to catch people running out and forcing them away from the safe zone. That's going to give them a path back into this. So now they can make the approach however they want, as all the teams along the path have been cleared out by other people.
Really well done by Energy. They hear that sustained fight for quite a while and immediately go for the redeploy and move on up. But need to be careful as Rocker possibly going to get hit by some of these nades. Needs to use that rift portal to get out. Taking damage, sustained, and they run into yet another team. So a ton of action happening on the west side of the circle. As people left and right getting dropped. Rogue, TSM, everybody in this area. Top three is a huge crypto EMP comes down and ends up probably helping TSM on the side. As he takes another shot, the Mastiff ends up hitting it. Sabrelli, he's going to need to use the shield battery as he holds off the breather.
Find themselves a little bit of a corner to get their feet back underneath of them. ISMP starting to make the approach, getting separation out away from TSM, who's playing in that position back behind them. You have Protectful that is down. They're just going to have to leave him be, as there's no way to make the approach back behind this. See, up on there, I always like to see whenever TSM is playing how many people are watching them in a moment. See if 4 people are just going to spectate after they've been killed off of it, kind of figure out what's going on. But DSM now has to make a little bit of a shift back over towards the east, as they know one team with a little bit of remnants are in front of them, so how to play this one a little bit more careful, going an eye back around to maybe making a southern wrap.
Listen, let's move here.
A lot of people in that middle circle, and the pattern shows that it's going to end up kind of towards that choke point. So all these teams, if they have that information, might be able to make a better decision. As you see, Liquid spread it out pretty well. One on the back side, just trying to look for information, while two kind of at that front point of the nose. But we do have some people holding angles, just trying to check and hold out. So thanks for the,
just
teamwork.
Sometimes it's about just showing the fact to your teammate that you care. You know, just coming over there, giving a little bit of love, giving a little bit of motivation to make their way through the rest of it. As you can see, a lot of rats now starting to hide out different parts of the circle. 35 seconds before it starts to collapse down, you can see off in the distance people running around trying to gather a little bit more information. As back over towards the north is going to be where Free Smoke is going to have to make their move. And they know at this point, 12 squads up and alive, 32 people moving around. Going to be a little bit difficult, as we can see that a lot of these teams are playing on the southern part of the circle. No surprise, whenever you look at the circles and how they shift, if you see everybody playing back over towards center and there's a hard shift back over towards the north, you have to think in your head, okay, most teams are going to move as close as they can to the next safe zone. That means that that section is going to be the most clustered.
Gotta be careful. Luckily for TSM, they do have high ground here, and something that's actually not something we've talked about, the fact that Reps is rocking crypto. So maybe they have committed to playing this more aggressive playstyle again. They're feeling comfortable with it, and it's been working out, but haven't really see that coordination really come through yet, as we see Abreleli up on the top of the Gibby. And that's part of the reason why he may be playing Gibby, is if Hal and Reps are going to play super aggressive, then he has to be the defensive one instead of the mobile one like he has been with Pathfinder. So interesting to see the development here, and hopefully we'll see it play out and show the true power of what can happen. As Free Smoke sitting in here with all the caustic smoke, you see Rambo living up to his name. Tons of damage being put down, removes another. Unfortunately for Vuzby, he's going to get eliminated as well. Another side, Yeet Squad trying to find another team. So many players in this area on the back side as they enter into the building, trying to get a couple bits of damage. EVA 8 coming out from sticks. Teams left and right. Shots raining down from the EVA 8. The Wingman doesn't even need it, as Wings is going to be there to pick it up.
Yeet Squad comes out on top of that one, and not too far to make it back over towards the next circle. Got tons of loot to work with, as this has been a party house to say the least. A ton of teams lined up. Yeet Squad got to be careful as they do the peek back over. Bowser takes a phase full of damage. Gonna have to jump back and away from this one. Yeet Squad now knows that they have somebody that is up on the hillside in front of them. Might opt into playing back over towards the west and trying to circle around. It's going to be ISMP that's playing up above them, seeing if maybe they can get a knock out of this one. Don't quite have an angle to work with, but every single time a peak comes back around, they're trying to inflict as much damage as they can.
Need to be careful as well with this much noise coming out. It's a ton of information that's been given to the other squad, so SMP kind of in a tough spot as well. Luckily for them, I don't think anybody's going to be able to rotate around that backside, but you never know with some of these Wraith players, so you need to be careful just trying to check their angles, and I like the fact that they're both peeking from the same spot so they can go for those trades. Something that they may want to do as well is if they can push up to the other side and get a different approach, but it does make them susceptible to the other angle up top, so got to be careful here with how they play this, especially with the zone going to be starting here in 5 seconds.
Got to be cautious on this one. You can lead to a mutually assured destruction between both of these teams. Both of them trying to commit off of this fight can really stall them out and let the ring come in and do a massive amount of work. Each squad looks like they've got themselves a position trying to run up and get a little bit ahead of how we see ISMP going for their play. Look at the defensive line that they've already set up to clear themselves a perfect path coming into it. Aim assist then finds themselves right in the thick of it, right on the edge of the circle right now. It's going to be a dance back and forth as we can see Ziploc bags looking back over, trying to take a couple of shots, and it is just raining members of opposing teams just jumping down inside their shields, but they don't care. They managed to walk away with that one. ISMP coming out on top.
Looked like ISMP was going to be in a really rough situation with the other team having the high ground, but just better shots able to land as Yeast Squad fighting off here. Liquid on the other side actually knocking down a ton of players too. Just see Iceman doing whatever he can with that Mastiff and is going to use that movement, but he goes right into another team and gets removed.
There is nowhere to go. ISMP trying to inflict as much damage as they can. They go down. Only one left up and active. Ziploc bags coming out as the kings of this part of the circle. They just have people jumping up on top of them, delivering their loot. Crates right up next to him, continuing to make that harassment. Yo-Yo's jumping over, back behind it, tries to go for the shot. Not going to connect, but it's going to be on the other side of his MVP, trying to follow it up, making their push back over towards the safe zone. They've got a lot of control and a lot of vision to work with. I love playing these rocks, getting the high ground, spraying back down into everything that's going on. There's nothing these teams can do, just trying to get the Wraith and get the reposition back out, but the hunt is on. There's nowhere for these teams to go as it is so closely contained, and that rock just has crate upon crate next to
Good patience from this last team. MVP on the back end as well as SMP. SMP was the team that made it through that lower push and are doing relatively well here. So using that high ground, trying to wait for their moment. They end up picking another kill out of a straggling player. Gonna have time to heal. It is a 1 versus 1. It's Madness. On the side, he ends up landing a grenade hit, ends up getting it returned. Follows the trace, ends up dropping a portal. Shots coming down, ton of damage, and he's actually going to clutch it. SMP with the victory, and he shows his worth as he gets on top of that box and asserts dominance.
all comes off of that setup. They saw so many people that were taking shots at them. Remember, they were held down in a location not inside the safe zone, but then they managed to stretch out, managed to use the Pathfinder ultimate to line up a path to get out of there, and you just saw it was Watson traps all over the place. It was just fences galore, and they opened up a path to walk right inside the zone, and they just walked into everybody fighting in front of them and got to capitalize off of it.
Really well played at the back end. We talk about these teams having the know-how to be a little bit more passive and patient. Some want to go for the points and the kills, and it may work out, but again, if you can kind of get a mixture of both, get those 12 points for the victory as well as those extra 3 kills at the end. And you even saw it on the back end as we look at the highlights. A little bit of swagger here from Rogue at the beginning going through. I wanted to see a 360 out of that, but patience paying off. No-brainers or new-brainers, however we want to say it. Sitting on the back end there, being a little bit more passive, and then he's able to clutch up with that even the double tap. So again, a lot of these teams showing that yes, you can play aggressive, but you still need to have the game IQ on when to engage. Wow, way to delete that player.
Oh, look at TSM just waiting there, hitting the shots on the approach. Sentinel's putting in a lot of work off to the side of this, and also we were talking about TLP and the aggression that they like to bring out. Good plays coming out. Panda's trying to pick up the kills off of that, trying to go for a little bit of meds, get a little bit of space, but just can't find the time to work with. Free Smoke, fiddly, fighting in a whole bunch of caustic smoke down, as this was a very dangerous approach for them to take, as everybody is just running right into Rambo, who's just living the good life inside of all of that caustic gas.
It was just one fight after another that we thought kind of as the pain house. I mean, everybody just one after another kind of just funneled in and just kept that fight going. So it's third party after the third party, but then we got on the backside and how they had to rotate out. I mean, I was expecting that MVP was going to be in a really rough spot, being the team on bottom, but missed the rest of the guys. After they rotated through, they were going to be in trouble, but eventually they ended up winning, and SMP been making a huge name for this, so congratulations to them, playing extremely well, and they're able to get the victory here, so that's going to bump them up quite a bit. Right now they were sitting in 15th and kind of just looking for that one game, so glad to see that they found it.
question I have for you, Lawler, is what have we done to crypto today? Because, man, he is on the hunt for us. He's just making our life absolutely miserable here. You can see no video feed to save everybody out there from our horrible, horrible faces. But finishing off another round, I believe that we still have 2 more to go, as that was our first one over on Kings Canyon. And God, I love the action on Kings Canyon.
Yeah, I love the elevation changes and a lot of the terrain changes, but biggest thing, the map is a little bit smaller, so we get a whole lot more action. It happens even faster, but because of that, we don't want to delay you guys any further, so we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, guys, we'll have Game 5 here for the GLL Masters Summer Americas region.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Show me the money. Show me the money. Yeah. 'Cause it feels good right now. Yeah. Gotta show me the money. Yeah. Come on. Never been around wealth, now I'm surrounded. Nice cars at the mansion right next to the fountain. CEOs in business suits and private accountants. Yeah. Summertime parties by the pool, we lounging. Then by night we out stunting on the main strip. Out of state trips, cars with the paint drip. How could you hate this? Jewelry in my chain sick. That's the life I wanna live. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. It's all about the lifestyle. Yeah. It's all about the lifestyle. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. It's all about the lifestyle. It's all about the lifestyle. Yeah. Come on. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. Never have to worry if I have enough dough. Fashion show out in Paris in the front row. Party every night, I don't have time to sleep. Next day it's the same, just rinse and repeat. Summertime trips on the yacht to the island. Squad rolling with me and we do a lot of wildin'. A bottle of whatever you want, just put your order in. You can have as much as you want, there's plenty more of them. Yeah, show me the money. Show me the money. It's all about the lifestyle. It's all about the lifestyle. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. It's all about the lifestyle. It's all about the lifestyle. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. Yeah. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. Yeah. Come on. Show me the money. Show me the money. 'Cause it feels good right now. Yeah. Hey, gotta show me the money. Whatever. Yeah. Come on.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer for the Americas region. Lawler here alongside Matchroom calling all the action. We just wrapped up one of our first matches, or our only first match, I guess. There's not multiple first matches. That wouldn't make sense, right? For Kings Canyon. A lot of action that went down. I mean, technically we have two
We've had some
matches.
remakes. We had a remake, you're not wrong.
First match. We've actually had two first matches. The remake, and we've also had a first match on both maps.
See? It's there. We just got to find the science behind it.
Either way, let's take a look at the scoreboard. See the results of that last one, and an interesting one at the end. If I remember correctly, in production, you can correct me on this one. Shiny Muffins was pretty much fighting 1v3 at the end there.
Big plays coming out from them. Yeah.
Yeah. So big clutch there. I mean, not only with the placement points, but also the kills. Unreal how they're playing that out.
Back behind them, you're going to see MVP, Ziploc Bags, Yeet Squad getting 30, 26, 22 respectively. TSM never wanting to leave the top 5, ever going to walk away with 16 points as well. Sentinels, Rogue back behind them, as well as Team Liquid, still continuing to rack up enough points to keep them out of the danger zones. On the other side of that, you can see it's a little bit problematic, as we've got to keep an eye on our bottom 5 teams. Easy Katka, Smile, Unknown, Yukio, and Team Superior right now back down towards the bottom.
Yeah, Team Superior not having a good one. This is another team that found themselves in kind of that top 5 area. So again, if you guys are unaware or just joining us or haven't seen how this works, we have an Alpha and a Bravo division, 20 teams in each, and the bottom 5 from the Alpha division at the end of today, after all 6 matches, they can drop down, and on the Bravo division, top 5 is going to find themselves promoting in. The reason why the Alpha division is so important is because you get double points. So really big deal here as TSM continues to stay at the top. They are first overall on the leaderboards as well. So a lot going on here as we enter our 5th game out of 6 for the day. Second for Kings Canyon. And we're going to be jumping in with SMP, our winners from the last match. So I actually like where they drop. This has been a pretty consistent one for them up at the top here, just outside by Capacitor. And overall, I think with the way that it plays out, I think it gives them a lot of options just in general sense to rotate out. They've done a pretty good job of like making sure they're almost like one step ahead of a lot of these teams, because it's been the only reason why they've been able to survive is their positioning has been pretty solid.
Hey Lawler, you remember last week whenever we got water treatment plant? Looks like we might have the potentials for that given how hardship's becoming in a factor. Market is also going to be inside of this, but note, right smack dab in the middle of this circle is going to be a huge rock face that's going to deny a lot of potential movement locations. That means these teams are going to have to kind of pick a side to work around. Even if you get that Pathfinder information, you're going to have to come into this one going, all right, how are we wanting to play this one out? And if you got to remember, back over towards water treatment plant, it got messy quick, as there's a lot of sight lines coming out of that location.
Yeah, the difficulty with this is depending on where you want to kind of settle. Obviously, the team over by Market is in a really solid position, being able to stay there for an extended period of time. But as you mentioned, there's that big area that is uninhabitable in the very middle. So you pretty much have to dedicate to the hardcover, either on the south side or the west side, or kind of where you see that one arrow on the northeast in the very center. You have to dedicate to one of those 3 spots. Those are going to be heavily contested. And then after that next circle shifts, you need to rotate immediately into that next piece of hard cover to give yourself a chance. There's going to be some highly contested spots here, and with how these guys have been rotating already, expect a lot of damage coming out in these early rounds.
Specifically, you've got to keep an eye back over towards the east. Rotation points are a little bit easier in what is going to be our second circle based off of that. Whenever you play back over towards the west, there's a little bit more open terrain, not as many places that you can really hide your full squad into. So we might see a couple of teams trying to recoup their losses back over towards the west, but it's going to be the east that could end up being stacked depending on how rotations come into play. It's like Team Liquid getting pretty close to making their rotation inside the safe zone, but slowly and steadily, no big rushes. They're just spotting out things that are going on around them. Looks like they put out the marker back over towards that, but I think that's just going to be a rotational marker.
Yep. Team Liquid today, 2 5th place finishes in Game 3 and Game 4 back-to-back, so one of them had 6 kills, the last one only had 1, so trying to make up a little bit more for that here, as they are slowly trying to inch towards that top 10 and having some difficulties back and forth, but team composition with their legends pretty tried and true. 2 mobility and 1 defensive, which is the standard. Not a whole lot going on, but we're going to jump over the Yeet Squad because they're going to give us where that next circle is going to move forward with the passive. So pretty happy to show for themselves on where they need to head. So with that information in mind, you can already see them start to rotate out. A Smile here already trying to put some damage down and have committed to this position.
Got to be a little bit careful on it. You can see Petty Boss taking some damage instead. Just going to kind of lean this one back and be a touch more patient off of it. 10 seconds before the ring starts to make its closure back over here, as a lot of our teams already getting into a firm position. Yukio kind of looking around right now, taking a couple of pot shots back over towards distance. Haven't had a chance to see them a whole bunch towards the late game, as it feels like the early game is where they keep finding constant fights. These guys going for them as they see them, but you can see, taking the pot shots back over towards the Gibraltar Shield's going to come out, and it's just going to be a reposition away. So unless Yukio decides to make a play off of this one hyper-aggressive, doesn't look like they're finding the knocks to really capitalize off of it just quite yet.
At the same time, though, with info and that Skull Piercer on that wingman, all it takes is a couple shots to land, and that's enough for me to aggress. So trying to hope for that poke damage and see if they can land something. Then it's just a matter of that IGL making the calls. They spot one up top. Not able to land any of these shots, but again, team probably going to be a little bit more fearful to peek. Hearing that wingman shoot over the side as we jump over to Energy on the north side of water treatment.
Yeah, they've opted to play pretty close to center on that southern part where we were talking about that big chunk of rock right in the middle of everything. So this is kind of creates its own kill box. As you can see, there's going to be the rock croppings out on both sides. So really, as long as you're keeping an eye back over that direction and towards the east, you've got a lot of protection to work with. Problem with it is a lot of teams like this point and know the strength that comes with it. So could have a couple of teams coming, try to take their home away from them right now, as Energy is trying their best to be good tenants.
Hey, man, I talked about it. It's going to be one of the 3 points that really needs to be contested. There's going to be a lot of action. If you don't get there first, someone else is going to. So already Energy making that early rotation as we jump on with free smoke. They have another team here is trying to remove some of these fences from Watson as they turn in on the top side. Just kind of overseeing everything as the team's rotating in. Gets 1938 and a bunch of extra damage. Actually doesn't get the knock just yet, but relatively close, as we still have all 20 squads remaining. Trying to see if they're going to push this one or not.
Urias has been so good on our previous week, but right now we just haven't had a big standout moment yet again from him. A lot of consistency coming in, but not high-end consistency is the problem right now with it. Free Smoke still just trying to get a feel back over towards the west.
Yeah, other than Gabe 1, where HRN and TLP at the very top, you know, where they're in that fight with Rogue at the very end, we haven't really seen much. Obviously, Moore is coming in as that sub to kind of help out, but we just haven't really seen the dominant play from Urias like you mentioned. So again, still plenty of time. 2 matches left here as we're on game number 5 out of 6. So they're peeking more, just trying to wait his turn, see if he can find some shots here. DR99. Checking their angles and a whole lot going on as they have the Watson passive regeneration. If they do get tagged, it shouldn't be too detrimental. But obviously don't want to take damage for free. Throws over that Thermite from Superior, the other team that they're peeking with. Both in a really good position, actually, I would say, on the west side of that kind of middle area.
Willing to bet that on the other side of this, it looks like a quick, aggressive play coming back over. Urias gets dropped real fast off of that one. Busby going to go ahead and come up with a play off of it, but now going to come back for the revive. HRN's got to be very careful with them if they see a big firm aggression coming out, and yes, it is. Stepping up into this one, it's going to be Superior just coming in with gusto, dropping out a massive load of damage right up on top of HRN. Going to have a couple of visitors coming down to also give them some company from that top section, continuing to rain in the damage as they can to force him back up that stairway.
Yeah, Energy getting involved in this one as well, but a ton of throwables coming in, just trying to check and cover their angles as that stairway from the top side end up forcing them back out. So good job by Superior to be decisive on that one, get some kills for their efforts as they're going to loot up here and reap the rewards, but still know that there's another team nearby. Got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, whenever you force somebody back up the stairs to survive, you got to be a little bit cautious with it. So they're pretty aware that everybody's going to rotate out and away from this point. Nobody's wanting to bite off a whole bunch at this stage of the game. So Superior find themselves a lot of vision, a lot of control that they can potentially play out of. Free Smoke back on the other side of this one, playing it a little bit more careful. You can see lean down trying to avoid windows, but have to be cautious as it's full on defense. Anybody that opens up these doors is going to quickly find themselves in the midst of a caustic trap waiting to happen.
Yeah, going to be really difficult as he drops down yet another one. Only way to kind of get around that is either you, A, try to open it with a wingman if you can, or you throw a thermite, you break the door, and then shoot the bottom of it. Whether we see that happening or not, it's just a lot of utility to use just to get inside, but I don't foresee anybody playing that aggressive as we see a crypto coming in handy here from Easy Katka.
a lot of information can be gathered. We talked about it several times. Whenever you end up on these outskirts positions and you have to make dangerous rotations, Wraith can be a good factor, but don't forget about Crypto. Crypto can move forward, give you a lot of information for your team to work with, and you can find sneaky ways to kind of creep back around targets you don't want to go after, or set you up in a prime position to be the aggressor if you do so choose. A couple of shots going to be coming out from Easy Cat, got a force away from the balloon. At least one member going to be dropping off the side. A couple of shots are going to connect to at least make him scared about making push back this direction.
You know, let's talk about this too, and a very interesting composition here from Easy Cat with the Bloodhound as well as the Crypto. They're just playing for information. The benefit is if they are going to play that a little bit more aggressive play like we've seen in some of the previous games, knowledge is key, and what better way to do that with Bloodhound and Crypto? Big EMP coming in. This could be the push.
Trying to hit a couple of shots, going to connect with a lot of it off the point of the Easy Cat. Has to be careful as Ella's going to take a lot of damage, go down herself. And we're going to have to see how this one goes. Quick drop down, shot goes a little bit of rise. Second one doesn't connect either. Finally going to pop off inside of this one. Going to keep on following it through, picks him up in the end. Ella is down, but should be able to get rezzed as yes, it's going to be reflex on the roll for it.
Really well played by Easy Kaka, just sitting with that Bloodhound on the back end side, waiting for that. It just preemptive shots. I mean, knowing when that person's tendency is to re-peek and just pre-fires it and gets rewarded. So again, showing the benefits of what a Crypto can do. All that information, they know exactly where the team is. They spread out and then drop that EMP and already at an advantage going into that fight. So really well done and the aggression paying off. It's also our first team eliminated here in Game 5.
A big factor to look at whenever you're playing a comp like that is making sure you rein in the aggression at times. It's got the ability to give you a ton of information to work with, but only on certain areas, as if you find yourself pushing too hard or too fast, long-range third party can rip you to shreds. So making sure that you have the comfortable position to make that aggression is a key component of victory for that unit. Meanwhile, on the other side of this, you can see TSM being that long-range shot that I was talking about just a second ago, throwing in a touch of harassment as grenade is going to land pretty close, but easily dodgeable from this range.
Yep. Rips does land one shot with that wingman 47, so team might think twice, but they are stuck between two, it looks like, as they are just outside of Repulsor by the tower. Saw a team by Flavor of the Month this morning basically claim the top side of that, as they do have two above, one hiding on the outside as well. In his tree, ready to box anybody as BKB, and I'm dropping bars over here.
You can see a Pathfinder caught in his natural habitat, hiding up in the trees, waiting to swing away at any given moment, should any form of aggressor choose to come back along this path. Scouts around, seeing if any predators might be coming after him, but alas, there is no one even anywhere near him at the time. Sorry, that was terrible. I know. I can't. This is what happens whenever we just have a second of nothing fighting.
Hey, if we would have stayed on him, I would have doubled down, man, but talking about him being in his natural habitat and the breeze in his hair.
Just let's not get into what Pathfinder mating calls might sound like, please.
I mean, with a robot, I don't know how that'd work.
It has to do with something with like some type of smile.
It's actually us when we're having server issues today.
Oh my god, that's gonna be it. Oh, hey, it looks like a little bit of action now coming in. Let's change the subject off of that one as fast as humanly possible. Sorry, I opened that Pandora's box.
Oh man, Superior had that early fight and came out ahead. So I think it was Energy on the receiving end. I could be wrong on that one, but I saw their names in the kill feed.
Superior getting a little bit of scouting information off the side. You can see with the X-ray that they do have a team that's pretty close back over towards them, doing the pings. Got firm awareness based off of it. Superior's not quite inside the safe ring quite yet, so looking around, got to be cautious on this. They're super close to it though. Rogue on the outside, slow creeping their way in, trying to see if maybe they can spot somebody out onto their approach. Looking back down into the depths, not going to find anything off of it. Should have a pretty easy path to at least make a foothold here. The problem with it is there are so many teams already in place along this point. It's going to be very difficult if shots start to come out and reveal their location, as it could be very quickly even a third, fourth, and fifth party becoming a factor.
Well, here it is. He talked about the rotation, trying to do it quickly and quietly, but it doesn't matter. MVP up on the top, putting a ton of damage down onto that first player. But part of the reason why you send the Wraith is the ability to escape, whether it be with phase shift or the ultimate, it does not matter. But able to bob and weave their way through traffic. Rogue still in a rough spot is Sweet. And now Snipe Down getting dropped down as they push into another team and are trying to retreat out of this. Not a whole lot of places they can rotate to.
Looks like they're going to opt all the way back around towards the north and pray that they don't encounter anybody along the path. Meanwhile, Unknown getting a little bit friendly with people right over there next to him. Going to take the Wraith Portal back to step away. Going to reposition based off of this one, and you can see caustic traps galore around their location. Got a little bit of space out and away, but the Gibraltar Shield is going to come down, firmly revealing their aggressor's position. Do you want to take this one? I was going to say, you want to take the tree this time?
Just going to let him enjoy the silence over there. You know, I don't want to interrupt his moment.
It's the calming way to play Apex Legends.
Yeah.
You know, take the pacifist approach. Just enjoy the trees, the textures, the serenity of the sounds of King's Canyon.
I feel like Rain needs to be playing right now. I need to like curl up with a nice blankie and just like take a nap.
All right, well, let's turn this one back around. Let's get a whole bunch of throwables out. As you can see, Rogue does manage to get one of their members back up. Now looking to see how they're going to make the aggression back over towards us. Got to be careful. Taking a couple of shots onto it, trying to retreat back off on this angle, but no clear path. It's going to be ISMP still holding the angle up in front of him, just raining down death and destruction right on top of him. Opting to step away from this one, ISMP going to instantly retreat back over towards the Wraith Portal, but MVP trying to make a play on the outside of this one as well, repositioning back onto it, and you can see it's a lot of run and gun. People stepping in, taking a shot, instantly taking the Wraith Portal back out, but there's not a lot of options to work with right on this edge of the ring. It is just turning into a problem for every single one of these teams. They're all clustered up too close, and there is nowhere for them to go.
Just so many players in the way as Madness ends up meleeing a Pathfinder that's stuck. Not sure if there's an issue there, but might be disconnected, so he puts him in a position to keep him a little bit safe, trying to put him back inside. So teamwork coming out in the most unconventional way as MVP had a really good spot on the high ground, trying to peek on the corner, seeing if he can get
I can't
shots
contain
in.
it. It's too ridiculous. He's punching him around to try to avoid him taking any shots right now. Using a little bit of bait, but he's going to take a couple of shots and retreat back away from this one. Is he going to continue to try to bait this one out and maybe punch him back down that hillside?
I mean, it makes sense if he needs to. He doesn't want to give away those kill points. So aim assist on the top side going to be rotating across here on the northeast. But we actually saw this earlier today where someone in EMEA, they got knocked and he was behind the person punching them, trying to, push them ahead. They ended up both getting knocked and dying, so it didn't work. So who knows? Madness is able to save his Pathfinder this time, but who knows for how long. His aim assist up on the top. Designful doing a good job of that wingman getting pegged from further across. He's got some support on the back end side as MVP. Able to rotate in. Vaxlon going to get dropped down on his team by Crummy up top. Trying to finish off this kill. Get those kill points. Going to throw that Arc Star. But needs to be careful as there's another team up top. As he drops down, finishes the kill and gets those 2 points. But what is it worth as he gets removed completely by Matt Pickett?
Pal's got to play this one very, very carefully. He knows that there are a ton of teams that are up in
can't play
front
this
of him.
one. He's AFK. Like he's disconnected.
That's true. Well, hey, look.
Not moving. He's playing so careful, man.
Points.
He's playing
Placement
so
points.
careful. He's not even.
I was
moving.
caught up in looking where he... I was looking at his health bars and didn't notice the other side of it. Leave me alone. I feel sad now.
Hey, man, you wanted to play safe, and he's playing super safe. So safe.
He is.
He's not even clicking the keyboard, all right?
Not even going to make a sound. Yeet Squad, though, in a very strong position right now. We've been seeing a lot of the fights happening back over towards that northeast, and a lot of remnants or squads trying to make an approach over here. They've opted into playing down below everything, getting themselves a firm stronghold to work from. Question comes into play is if anybody's going to even try to aggress along these points. We got a lot of people that are just kind of clinging to the outside. NRG very close towards center right now, but all the fights are happening off in the distance. It's going to be very difficult for them to pick up a lot of kills as it feels like everybody's fighting on the outside of it. Talked about the safety of this position. You can see it's even going to end up in the end point for it as a lot of long range shots all happening on the outside of NRG, but no line of sight.
Be really difficult for Easy Caca on the guys, but luckily they have a portal, so they're going to be able to re-engage here quickly, getting on top of this Wraith. This Reflex puts a ton of damage with that Prowler, has a teammate nearby, but it doesn't matter. Having to rotate into that team is Yukio able to hold them all down and get the kills. So a lot of materials to work with here. And depending if they want to go and loot here, that's going to be the difficulty. The Smile is still around the corner. There was multiple teams in this area as he's throwing out a ton of thermites. Should allow them to push forward a little bit as they end up getting a ton of damage on the back end side. We had 2 team members removed, and he ends up checking that corner, ends up blasting this Pathfinder in the face. Rip north, and what a play by Reflex.
Good awareness of hiding holes and where people might be trying to survive from. Now how Smile are going to make their move based around this. You can see they essentially have to opt going up towards the north and circling back around towards the east, or going down to the south and circling around. Shift has gone back over towards where we saw NRG making their home much earlier inside of this game. So now options very limited. 8 squads alive, 23 people up and alive. TSM still strong 3-man squad right on the edge of the safe zone. Got a couple of different path points that they can play for, but have to be very careful moving forward.
So they do have a team up above on their building just to the other side here on the east. Need to be careful of that and careful on how much they make a move, as the other side of this building looks like Yeet Squad. So a couple teams actually in the same area. As Bowser just sitting there watching, ready to throw a thermal at any rate, but at the same time they might be able to take this to the other side of the portal, but need to be careful with how many people are watching them. So now that it's gone, he can commit back to the other team. Has a longbow fully kitted, so can apply a ton of damage, especially with that increased rate of fire over the update that came quite a bit ago. Coming a bit more viable.
I was going to say, Unknown looks like they might be the X factor, the catalyst for what is going to be the big fight on the outside of this one. See, as they're making their approach in, it's going to be Yeet Squad trying to defend it up. Going to have the Gibraltar shield drop down right over in front of him. Yeet Squad is just still trying to hold the line, hitting a lot of damage back over towards it, but still constantly keeping awareness on how people might be approaching from the other side of it. Keep in mind, TSM is back down on the other angle from this, so Yeet Squad planning to play this as cautiously as possible. It's just kind of like running through death hallways right now, as every single peak could be a disaster for your team.
Yeet Squad's playing it really well, though. Just the ability to hold that angle. You saw what Nicewing did. He backed off, and rather than aggressing on that player that came across, he just held the angle and let that player come to him. He's able to put an easy spray down as shots coming in. Speaking of spray with the Sentinels, you've seen that Mastiff just try to finish off this player and get the kill points, and they cleaned it up. Unfortunately for Mini, the players that ended up having that really clutch fight on the northwest side, that's going to be all she wrote. So Sentinels looking pretty strong here.
Got themselves a little bit of a divot to play inside of and a lot of loot to replenish everything, move them into this late game. 6 squads up. We've got 16 people playing in a very small circle at this point. NRG still playing out around this. Crummy has managed to sneak in for Unknown right on the edge of the ring, but not a lot of good options up in front of him on how he's going to make this approach. Luckily, he is the Wraith, but really, at this point, you know that anywhere that you go is going to have somebody sitting and waiting to take you down. TSM playing back over towards the center of the circle is going to have a lot of control inside of this one. Whenever a fight breaks out, they can instantly react.
Kind of curious to see on how they're going to play this one. Obviously, they're in the middle. They have the positioning in the circle, but not the high ground, so need to be careful, especially with the Yeet Squad right on the outside. Trying to see if they can spot somebody down below. They end up doing that. And luckily for Bowser, he's got that thermal scope, so able to spot him out relatively with ease. As fights breaking out above TSM, just kind of debating on what they want to do here. The more and more they move, it makes it easier for Yeet Squad to find him on the other side. 6 teams still remaining and just waiting for their opportunity. This is that patience we talked about the high ground, but a crypto ultimate gonna wipe them completely. It affects so many people.
Oh, the ring coupled with crypto, it is near on impossible to see anything. Team Liquid holding down a nice position. TSM just mowing down anybody that walks into their neighborhood. They know that there's a team up above them. Go ahead and step out, instantly ripping them into a ton of damage out there. Knows that they're going to have to push up into this. Gonna instead opt into playing down below, as they know that they have utility that they can pick up over here to propel them into what could be a healing battle.
Still 4 teams remaining, and you want to talk about a healing battle. Look how healthy Sentinels is on the outside, able to poke from a distance. But it is going to force everybody in. So for the benefit of TSM, people are going to have to drop down to find them. At the bottom, they've got so much to work with, so they can go for the heals. And Sentinels might be end up playing for the late game, where they're just going to try to drop everything off to everybody else and see what they can do to give to one player. They might just play the heal game. Very viable option towards the end here, especially with so many teams remaining, as NRG still alive, trying to poke from the top side.
I like the peeks back down in between every crack that they can find, trying to inflict more damage back over towards Liquid. Casper does go down. NRG not wanting to firmly commit just quite yet, as they know there's a lot of people all stacked up right along this house. Out of the 4 squads that are alive right now, 3 of them are all stacked inside of this position. So the moment you step away from it, could find yourself in a little bit of trouble. Up on the top of it, instantly run up, pick up one of them. So that's going to be a nice capitalization point to move us down to 3 squads. It's going to be Sentinels looking back over towards everybody inside the household. Not a lot of options to work with. The high ground on one point, low ground on the other, and a range coming in to be the factor for Sentinels. Gonna see how this one's gonna play out, but look, it's gonna be a Wraith going back over and forward, trying to dance around just a little bit, maybe giving themselves a little bit of positioning to depending on how the Wraith Portal comes through, as it is going to be ult upon ult just dropped off in such a small circle.
I'm curious to see how TSM's going to play this one. They hear the fight coming out from NRG and on this other team. I think it's Liquid possibly on the, or no, it's Sentinels on the outside. So 3 teams all in the very relative top parts of the map, or where we consider them to be, and TSM just hears it coming out over and over again. So they're trying to apply damage. You see the Gibraltar ultimate as well, but trying to use those iframes, trying to wait out. I mean, someone came down, found TSM, and ended up having to go right back up. So at this point, 2 teams fighting up at the top. Just waiting to see how it plays out. Team drops down. Abrolella getting absolutely shredded. TSM on the back-end side. Energy jumping over. Trying to move down as we see 2 teams going back and forth. Using that portal. Energy just going back and forth. Trying to buy as much time as possible in this field. As TSM, the last one, surviving. They're able to clutch it up and get the win. What a play by TSM.
Patience pays off in the end. They heard everything that was going on and let all the other teams fight it out for them. Instead, just opting in, playing down below, knowing the fact that it's very hard to aggress back down towards that point, and then just letting it all fall into place for the moment that they finally decide to make their move.
Yeah, it seems like they made a call and they stuck with it. You know, a lot of the time during that, I was like, okay, you have the opportunity to hear all this. You can go play third party, but then you're going to be aggressing on somebody, which puts you at a disadvantage if the other team that you save ends up trying to re-aggress back on you. So they take the advantage of that lower ground. They set up, they do the Wraith Portal to give themselves some time, and then they just hold their ground. They just wait for it, and it ends up playing perfectly. Gibraltar over the top. They've got an EMP from Crypto. Just really good decision making. I don't know who's their current IGL, but fantastic call for them in TSM.
Well, let's not forget about Sentinels and their play coming into that one as well. Playing on the outside of it, they managed to win their fight, get themselves a nice control point with a lot of safety to work with. You saw the fact that while everybody else was defending up, there was plenty of time for them to switch around armors, go ahead and switch out meds, make sure everybody is set and ready to go moving into the fight. The problem with it is whenever they had to step up and move, there were 2 squads that could take the shots back onto them. So they knew that they were going to be moving into a very aggressive fight and was trying to get as much work put into it beforehand as they could.
Yeah, unfortunate for them as we take a look at the highlights from game number 5. I mean, they tried to, right? They took that Wraith Portal underneath, and all of a sudden they're like, well, here's a full TSM. I'm going to just mosey on back out of here. And you saw the back and forth trying to do whatever they could, but a lot of fights across this entire game. Easy Cactus started it off early, and it a little bit towards the middle of the end of the game, but Rogue just back and forth, caught out a lot of times. They got dropped early and then caught on a rotation. And then we jumped over to aim assist. High ground able to move in. This is where we saw SMP, MVP, teams punching their own Pathfinder, you know, doing whatever they could to stay alive. But the team that came out ahead on all of it was TSM, who was able to rotate underneath first.
Oh, don't forget, while all of this is going on, NRG was calling this position home. They just got to sit back and listen to all the fight that was happening back around them. Also, good positioning coming out on multiple fronts, and this is going to be the fight that Sentinels ends up winning to get them a nice bit of position to play from in this later stage of the game. But TSM, so much patience coming in. Look at the fact they clear this one up, they get a ton of loot, and instead just try to wait this one out.
Yeah, I think the best part about it, too, is for any of these teams that were fighting,
Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do.
Then tell me what you wanna do. Then tell me what you wanna do.
Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do. tell me what you wanna do.
Then tell me what you wanna do. Then tell me what you wanna do.
Tell me what you wanna do.
Then tell me what you wanna do. Then tell me what you wanna do.
Tell me what you wanna do. Tell me what you wanna do.
You could have had it all. You could have had it all. All of my good stuff, all of my kisses were yours. But baby, don't call. I'm done praying on you. A queen like me needs more from you. Hot girl summer, done waiting on you. Where my queen's at? And I appreciate that. Where my queen's at? I'm done waiting on you. I'm done waiting on you. Don't care if you judge me. Don't need you to love me. I dance on my own. I don't care if they watch me. You could have had it all. You could have had it all. You could have had it all, but you didn't come right. You didn't come right. Now you wanna go and call me. I'm done praying on you. A queen like me needs more from you. Hot girl summer, done waiting on you. Where my queen's at? And I appreciate that. Where my queen's at? I'm done waiting on you. I'm done waiting on you.
This is the part where you hit the hideout. This is the part where you start to vibe out. Yeah. Vibe out with me, you know. Vibe out. Yo, I'm trying to chill, I ain't trying to wild out. Something I can feel, turn it up and vibe out. Yeah. Vibe out with me, man. Vibe out. Say your time to me. This is the part where you hit the hideout. This is the part where you start to vibe out. Vibe out with me. Vibe out. Yeah. Yo, I'm trying to chill, I ain't trying to wild out. Something I can feel, turn it up and vibe out. Vibe out with me. Yeah. Vibe out. Let the smoke go up in the air, ride low, take it slow, no cares, ride. Let the smoke go up in the air, ride.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer. We got the Americas region. We just finished up game number